Come on. There we go. Hello, everyone. We are here for the Flawless Book Club live show, and I am so excited. I am joined by my lovely co-hosts for this read-along, Leandra and Brittany, and I'm so excited. We are here to discuss Flawless by Elsie Silver, and I'm just so excited to chat about this and see what everyone thought of the book. Any questions that you guys want to put in the chat, please feel free to do so. We'll be obviously discussing non-spoiler things about the book, but also spoilers as well. I will put a little banner to see when we are talking about non-spoilers and spoilers, so just to let you guys know that that's what's going to be happening. But how are you both, Leandra and Brittany?
Oh, doing well. Kind of a chaotic Saturday for various reasons, I think, for all of us. But we're here and ready to talk about some cowboy romance, some Canadian cowboy romance. So,
yeah, I love that you called it Chaotic Saturday, because both of them know I literally just rolled up here flinging myself about because I was parenting, and parenting got hectic over here. And
Yeah.
if I disappear, I won't leave, but I might turn my camera off because I do have some things happening, y'all, and you all understand that. So
yeah,
Claire and
family
Leandra
life,
are here.
it happens. It absolutely happens. But we do have some people in the comments, which is great to see. Hello, Rainey. How are you doing? I'm so excited to hear everyone's thoughts on Flawless. Me too. And Lindsay, hello. And Brooklyn, hello. So excited for this. And Greta, hello. So excited to hear your thoughts on the book. And Beatrice, of course, Beatrice will be here because I know how much she loved Flawless. So I'm so excited that Beatrice is here. And Alicia, hello. Didn't read this as I read it last year, but will be joining you for the Powerless and Hopeless. I did give this 5 stars though when I read it. That's great. Preferred milk type. I'm an old milk girl myself. We'll come on to the milk gate.
You know what? Just a little spoiler for my wrap up that's coming on Monday. Did I use this to get the milk prompt for Bookemon? Yes, I absolutely did. And I was pretty proud of myself.
I love that. And Chrissy, hello. Can't stay for long, but just here to say I gave it 3 stars. I did not like Rhett as a character and aim, and I'm happy to move on to another brother. That's fair. That's absolutely fair. Actually, fun fact, I'm reading Powerless at the moment, which is book 3. So you'll definitely have to tune in, Beatrice, when we do the live show for Powerless. And yep, Brittany, me too. 5-star reach me. So we might as well just kick off with our ratings to begin with. So if you don't mind me starting off, I'll give my kind of overall rating. So for this was a reread for me. And initially, I gave it a 4-star on reread. On the first time, I loved it, absolutely loved it. But on reread, I bumped up to a 5-star. I loved it even more the second time round. I just had such a fun time with it, and just being back in this world with the characters and the setting, and I just loved it so much. So this was a 5-star read for me, and I'm so happy. Leandra, do you want to go next?
Sure. Okay, so I ended up giving it 3 stars. However, I am also anticipating that there will be certain tropes or characters that I vibe better with. And there were still a lot of elements that I really liked, and I can't wait to get into those. But I think for me, I understand Kirsty's feeling about Rhett. He was fine. I think I was more concerned about Summer's history. And again, we'll get into it. But with like the things going on with Summer, I was like, okay, like how different is Rhett from certain elements and everything like that. So I'm gonna give it a 3, and I'm predicting other books that will, like, I'm not surprised necessarily because I think there are other books I'm more excited for in the series.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I'm going to kind of echo the same vein, which is interesting. Leandra and I continue to agree on romance. Who'd have thought it? I did give it a 3.5, and mostly, again, it was Rhett. I did not love Rhett. I'm sorry, but I love Summer so much that I bumped it up to a 0.5 because I loved Summer just so much, and I loved her vibe so much, and I felt like I really knew Summer very well. We really dive into Summer in this book.
Yes,
and I really liked her. But Rhett. And again, we'll dive into it as we talk about this, but Rhett just was not my character for me And I kind of agree with what Leander said about like Summer's pass with and you add Red in, and I can see that. So yeah, that's where I shook out. But I'm excited to chat about it as we chat through the actual nitty gritty of the book today.
Okay, that's absolutely fair. I think I have heard a lot of people say that Flawless is probably the weakest in the series, and I do get that.
Same. I have as well.
Yeah. But for me, it was just the vibes of this that I just gave it a 5-star, because I loved it the first time I read it anyway, but it was just going back to this world and the characters again, and it was just like there was things that I picked up on the reread that I didn't the first time round, so I think that just really like bumped up my rating for it, really. So
absolutely,
it's definitely a 5-star for me.
And I think it's so fun to have these kind of discussions because we can talk about what worked for someone else in a book, and everyone reads the same book differently. And I think that's what is so fun about doing these kind of discussion times, which is so fun.
Yeah, definitely. Nobody can hate Daddy Kate and Baby Theo. If you do, we have issues.
Oh no, Rainy.
Oh, wait till we get to the other books, guys.
I'm reading Heartless next week, y'all, so I will know.
And I have the book for people who want to see. So this is going to be our next, a little bit of a sneak peek.
So excited. Also, yes, I get Rhett is just meh. If I reread, I probably would give it a 4. But it was the first cowboy romance I read, and it was just the right time. Yeah, that's absolutely fair. That's absolutely fair. I love Summer, and I definitely love the banter with the brothers. Yeah, that was the thing I loved about this as well. The relationship between the brothers and the family. Like that brotherly relationship. I really, really enjoyed that.
I'm kind of excited for, does Bo have a book?
Yes, Bo is the last book.
Okay. I liked Bo in this book, so we'll see if he continues to be someone I enjoy. But I was like, that's the brother I think I like the most so far.
Interesting. Friends. Hello, Katie. How are you? I feel with Rhett, I just kept waiting for more depth, but never quite got there. And he just couldn't match Summer as a character. But yeah, I'm excited for the rest. That's fair. That's fair.
That's very similar to my thoughts.
You were saying right now there as well.
Yeah, I was just waiting for us to break down Rhett's walls, and then the book was over. And I was like, oh no.
And he kind of reminded me of, let me know, those in the comments and also on screen if you've read this, but you know Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey? He kind of reminded me of, was his name Fox? Where he had the same kind of insecurities where they were like basically hotties and they were used to just like women using their bodies and like not really like having like, there wasn't an expectation for them to have depth, for them to have emotions, which is like, I can feel for that. But then it's like, but we do need to see that depth. Right. Like we need to, like, I can't really believe you telling me that you have depth.
You know what would be really interesting for those who have read this book and that book to see if you rated them similarly, because there is a big debate over Hook, Line, and Sinker. And it happened one summer of people who love one, love the other, you know, vice versa. So I'm on the one that I did not love Hook, Line, and Sinker, and I gave them both 3 stars. So it's really interesting to see if maybe there is some correlation in that, which is really interesting, Leandra, that you brought that up. So.
Yeah, because I gave both books 3. I gave that book 3 stars as well, Hook, Line, and Sinker. So yeah, I'm wondering if it's this similar idea. So yeah, people feel free to debate in the comments.
Interesting. I get what you say about Rhett, that we do not get to know him as well as Summer, but still he has my heart. I loved him so much. Yeah, I think he's definitely not going to be for everybody, I would say.
But we love that you love him. Like, that's great. Like, I love when people love a book. I want everybody to love a book. So, like, just because it didn't work for me doesn't mean I'm like, oh, you loved it? No, I'm so glad you loved it.
Oh, for sure. Especially because, like, when we're talking about romance series, unless you have an issue with, like, the writing style, like, something that you know will exist in every single book, then the author's probably not for you. But if it's, like, the certain trope or a certain, like, one of the main character protagonists, it's like, well, that's not gonna be the focus of the next book. So like typically in a romance series, you know, you'll find your favorite. It just like, it might not be the first one. So you probably should keep trying the author unless there's something about the author's writing that you're like, this is clearly not for me.
Yeah, definitely. Kate and Bo are the 2 I'm super excited for. Oh,
I'm excited for Kate. Yeah, I'm very excited for Kate. I'm also very excited for the hockey romance because, you know, I like a hockey romance. So, like,
Me too. And we've
That
only
one I'm
seen, what
excited
is his name,
for.
Jasper? Like, we've
Yeah.
only seen Jasper like twice, but I was like, I don't know, I like his vibe. Like, I kind of like his vibe, so.
Theo, I feel like maybe a bit too young for me as he's in like his early 20s. Yeah, I don't know if Theo is kind of the youngest male love
Yeah.
interest. I think. I don't know. I think he
He's meant
is
to be.
younger than Rhett. I think
Mhm.
so.
Oh, 100%. Because Rhett's like calls him like kid and kind of takes over his mentor role. And like Rhett's like old for being like what, like 32 or how old is Rhett?
Yeah, he's like 32, 33
Yeah,
in the book.
30s, yeah.
Which I would say, because I think even in my vlog I said he's old for bull riding terms. He's not really old. He's my
Yes,
age.
yes,
But, like,
exactly. Yeah, wait, hold on.
Me.
but for a bull rider and a professional sports person, you know, they stop playing in their 30s usually. So that fair.
Yeah, fair. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was an issue. A lot of being told but not being shown things, and I was like, so when do we see this super sweet and caring guy who isn't a horn dog?
Honestly, yeah, and if we're gonna, okay, I promise I won't go too far into this, but his obsession with her mouth, I was like, bro, you need to back up. Like, I was like, this is not healthy.
Sorry.
Yeah, we'll get into it, guys. But
I
I was
love
like,
that these are
we'll
the kind of
get into
things
it.
we discuss when we discuss romance. Like the things that you have to discuss with a romance book are so different. Like in fantasy, you're like the world building, and in the romance, you're like
romance is
her
smart.
mouth an
You have
awful
to talk
lot.
about smart.
like, certain body parts get talked about a lot
Oh.
in a romance.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what the brothers get up to. Yeah. Oh dear. I love the possibilities I see for the exploration of all kinds of relationships. Yeah, definitely. Because that's what I love about Elsie Silversby. It's like each romance, there's different romance tropes, but they all really work well together. Like you see kind of snippets in Flawless of the other brothers and kind of look into what they're like. And then when you go into their book, you already have that kind of background on that brother. So you kind of know what they're going to be like. And then obviously when they have the love interest and that dynamic comes in and how that grows in a way as well.
Yeah, and that's actually the disadvantage for book one, because we don't get to see that.
Yes.
Whereas, like, we will slowly with each book, especially like the later the book is, the more small scenes we might see in this character. And so with like Rhett, we didn't get to see that too.
Yeah, definitely. So I think I've got like my kind of notes for what I'm wanting to talk about during the live show, if that's okay with you guys. So so just for like non-spoiler, we'll go through the kind of quick, easy plot of what happened in Flawless. If anybody who hasn't read the book, but you just want, if you're just curious about it. So we're basically Chestnut Springs, cowboy romances. We have the Eaton family, who are a family of 5 brothers. Harvey, who's their dad, they own a ranch. And our main male MC is Rhett, who is a bull rider. And he is kind of like the cocky, I would say, cocky like bull rider. And he's very like show offy and things, and he has a lot of sponsors through his bull riding, and an incident happens with a particular sponsor that basically his name is like tarnished in the media and things like that. And so his manager decides to ask his daughter Summer, who is our female main protagonist, to basically be Rhett's babysitter and just basically look after him and try and teach him how to be a better person basically, and it just goes from there. So I think that I did enjoy that storyline where it was like Summer just gets brought in to basically be Rhett's babysitter, and how kind of standoffish he is with her. And like he's like, I don't need a babysitter. This is ridiculous. But I just love Summer's determination to basically do her job. She's there to do her job. She's not really looking for a romance or anything, and it just kind of happens. And I really, really liked that.
Yeah, there's also like for those interested in the tropes, there's the forced proximity trope, right? Yeah. There's also, I don't know if it's like, it's not workplace, but they have a professional relationship that they have to kind of navigate because the reason why she's in his life is professional. And I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts because like I wouldn't say it's an age gap.
Oh,
but
I
there
would.
is. Oh, would you?
Yeah.
Okay, what is he? He's 32 and she's what, 20?
25.
She's
20,
25, so 7 years.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, there is okay, I'm seeing Rainy's comment. There's also the one bed trope.
And
Yeah,
one
one
horse
horse.
for a hot second.
Yeah, but there's also like the background of and this I think is emphasizing the age gap in a different way, where she was like a fan of his, kind of like she she
Yes.
had
Yes.
like his pictures, like his ads and things like on her wall. So there's a bit of a almost like fan star kind of trope. I don't know. Like I've never read that before, so I don't know if that's a trope, but
Yeah, it is. It is because
Yeah.
even Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey that just came out, the golf romance would have that as well because she's his like fan. So yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, yeah. And like an awkward meet cute. Like neither one of them super happy. Like they're like, this is weird. Yeah, yeah. So they have to like negotiate how they're gonna proceed, which is kind of interesting. Yeah. So
Don't even get me started on the smut ex I had.
Here's the thing.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair.
Everybody has things in smut that they like or really don't like. And that's fine either way. You know, whatever floats your boat, floats your boat. And whatever doesn't, you can just skip over it. Which is I'm gonna do that again because I know a lot of people really wanted the closed door modification. So I'll do that again for Heartless, especially since I'm reading it so early in the month.
Yeah.
This time I'll have time to do that again. So
I wrote down about Elsie Silver's writing style. How did you guys feel about her writing style? Obviously, this is the first time that you guys have read it, but for me, it was a reread. So I think for me, I find Elsie Silver's writing style just really easy to read. It just went really, really quickly. And it wasn't too flowery. It wasn't too like complicated. It was just really, really simple. And it just got to the point with the story and how the characters were feeling and things like that. So how did you guys feel about it? Obviously, because this is the first time read. For you.
I liked it. Like I don't think any of my issues with it were writing style related. Because obviously I wanted to know more about Rhett, but we got more about Summer. So obviously the writing style is there to do so. It was just a choice more than anything. So, I'm excited to continue with Elsie Silver and see what the next book holds. Yeah, I thought the writing was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that the writing style was really easy as well, especially because for the most part, I was just physically reading it. And that's typically not how I read my romances. I actually usually predominantly only listen to romances. So I was a bit nervous. I was like, I don't know how it's going to be on the page. But it was really quick. And then maybe I was 3/4 of the way through. I got access to the audio from a very helpful friend, Vanessa, shout out, Read with Dr. B. And we can talk about did anyone listen to the audio for this one?
Yes, I did.
The
audio was fine. And it was fine. It was not bad.
Yeah, and that's not on the author, right? That's like the voice narrators. Yeah. I was surprised by his voice. Yeah, I didn't like his voice, which may have also and the weird thing is hers. So I remembered the voice of the woman, and it's from a YA series that I listened to, and I was like, this is emphasizing the age gap a little bit more for me because I remember her. She typically is the voice for a 16-year-old. But like the physical writing, when I was reading it, I obviously wasn't thinking any of those things. So yeah, I'm down to continue for sure.
Well, and with the audiobook, I believe these were done when these were still self-published. So technically self-published audiobooks tend to be bare bones. So even the fact that it has 2 narrators for a self-published audiobook, I actually feel is probably top tier for, I mean, there are some self-published audiobooks that are amazing, but you have to think the author is the one paying for that a lot of the time, or at least, a very small publisher. So, something to consider with the audiobook, but it wasn't bad. It just wasn't like, wow, great audiobook,
Rainey's comment about summer and winter. So winter was summer's sister. And I definitely think that dynamic, their relationship, I think obviously without any spoilers at this point, but I think as you go through the books, the relationship does get better between them. But in this one, I think it's definitely very estranged sister. Like I think there's a lot of heart there
There's so much going on. That
Yeah.
the complexity of all of Summer's familial relationship. It's that you need like a board and like some strings, like figure, like it's a lot.
Yeah.
But I find that it gave her depth, and I
Mm.
and I find it really interesting. I feel like we say we follow the Easton brothers, and we do, but I felt like we followed Summer and her family more than we followed the Easton brothers family in this book. Maybe I don't know over the series because I can only speak of this book, but I actually felt like I left knowing way more about whatever Summer's last name, whatever that family is, than I did whatever.
I
Those
don't
people
even
are.
know.
I don't know who they are, but I know a lot about them. Hamilton, Kep Hamilton. There we
Hamiltons.
go. I got there.
Mm.
Uh-huh.
Well, I don't want to get. I'll save certain things for the spoiler section because I want to make sure that we aren't spoiling it for people.
Yeah.
But there were moments where I was like, Summer, honey, let's sit down and talk about your family for a second, because there are some things that we need to, we need to have a heart to heart. You need someone to be real with you for a second. Her father. But anyways, so, and then, I can't wait to get into Winter and then also the stepmother, because I feel like there were some interesting depictions and we really don't get them, but we do get a lot of opinions about them from Summer and from Rhett, and Rhett doesn't even know them. But of course, his POV is coming through Summer, so it makes sense. But yeah, and Winter has a book too, doesn't she? No?
Yes. Yes. So,
Okay.
Reckless, which is Theo's book, is Theo and Winter.
Oh, so there's going to be a big age gap there.
So that's going to be an age gap, but the woman's going to be older.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind that.
I feel the same trepidation as I did with this one. so interesting. Okay.
I just love like the answer's like, oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I'm coming from like, I have the least experience with romance, everyone, so I'm always like, oh, all right. Like this weekend I ended up meeting up with a few other booktubers who are much more aware of romance, and they taught me some terms. I won't say them on the internet, but I was like, oh, I will send you both a list. But
please send me a voice message of what terms these people taught you over the weekend, because I need to know.
Yeah, we were playing this like romance lit game that was like Cards Against Humanity basically, and like certain things I was like, I don't know what this card means, and so they had to tell me what some of it meant. Anyways, it's fine.
I had one spoiler thing that did give me a personal issue, but we'll say it at that point. Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, we needed more depth in her in the male characters. Yeah, because I like, even though I loved this and I did enjoy Rhett, but I did feel we got a lot more about Summer than what we did about Rhett. Because I think that there's still a lot of things in this where it's not really explained a lot. But I think as you go through the books, like they do, like the characters do pop in and out of the books as well. So that's quite good as well. But I think for the first book, we didn't really get a lot of Rhett. It was a lot more of Summer.
Yeah, because I even went back and looked, because I was like, maybe I'm just, because I like Summer, I remembered her chapters more. But there were times where we'd have like, there was never more like really a Summer Rhett situation. It was like 2 Summers and then a Rhett, or even 3 Summer chapters and then a Rhett. So there was significantly more from Summer's perspective in this book, just due to the amount of chapters dedicated from her perspective. Because I went back to look, because I was like, is it just that I liked her more? so I noticed it more, but no, there was more.
Yeah, I feel like we see that a lot of times in romance. Like, it's not like it's necessarily something that only Elsie Silver's done. But like I'll see that sometimes where I'm like, clearly, like, even though it's around his family, he should probably technically, if we're gonna have like someone have more on the page, it should be him, because he's like, he's the root, his family's the root of why the series exists. But it being like a woman author, it kind of makes sense that she would focus on the woman protagonist, just like tendency to do that. And then also like, I think, and I see this a lot, that when we are in the man's perspective, he also does tend to like think very physically, which again, kind of tracks. But like a lot of times, like, yeah, I'll see like a lot of the men protagonists will immediately just be like we don't get much depth because all they're talking about is like how like gruffly how sexy the woman is, and it's like, okay, we get it, like please have another thought and emotion. So like I will say that sometimes we see that in romance, depending on, because I think it can be hard to, well, we don't want realistic men anyway, but like hard to provide a realistic in-depth men. Anyways, please, everyone, please respond.
I can agree with that statement. That's fine. I concur.
Yeah. Have I read the whole series? I have a question about one of the books that I will message you about on it. Yeah, that's absolutely fine, Christy. Yep, send us a message, obviously with no spoilers. Yeah, I think Flawless is definitely more enjoyable after reading the series and just getting to see them as they progress. And to be fair, on first read, it's definitely one of the weaker books in the series. Yeah, I mean, I loved it, but out of all of them, it's probably my least favorite, I would say.
And you did up it on reread, which would follow the same as kind of what Alicia is saying, that on reread, you know what's coming for them a little bit more than you do on the first time through it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I loved it, but out of all of, like, from all the books that I've read, this is probably my least favorite.
I think I've heard that from most people, though.
Hello.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me use your audiobook, Vanessa.
What were your first impressions of the other brothers we have met so far? So, Leandra, do you want to take this first? Because obviously this is a first time read for both of you. So what were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, sure. So I think we mentioned this earlier, but I liked Bo more than I liked Cade, and I didn't dislike Cade. He's just that kind of classic grumpy like character, and I think is his love interest is Willa. Yes. So she'll be like the sunshine and kind of get him out of his shell, test his limits a little bit. So I am excited for that. But I gravitated towards the kind of fun-loving, poke fun Bo, because there was like a lot of humor in Bo's, like his active humor, whereas Cade would just be like this grumpy man in the corner, and it's like he's not meaning to be funny. But yeah, so I think that my impression was that I was like, ooh, I can't wait for Bo's book. And with Cade, I'm like, I can't wait for Willa to like test him a little bit.
Yeah, I think I actually gravitated towards Cade more, which is potentially because I do love a single parent trope. And it's not just even single dad tropes. I love a single parent trope, single mom, single dad. It's a trope that works for me. So and I also love a cute side character. And let's be honest, Luke is the cutest. So even if I only see 0.2 seconds of a cute character, you all know, you've seen me read books before. If there's a cute side character, I'm like, I love it. And Luke's, maybe that's why I like that trope, because there's always like a cute kid that's like floating around in the books. Maybe that's the reason. Who knows? But I'm excited for the next book. And I liked Willa a lot in this book too. So that even works for me, because one of the things I loved about Summer was her like quippy humor, and I felt like Willa had that with her as well. So I'm sure we'll see that. And yeah, I'm pretty excited about that one.
Yeah, because I think definitely a lot of people that I've spoken to, Heartless is their favorite and Cade is their favorite as well. So I'll be interested to see how both of you find Cade.
Yeah, because I've never done
one of my favorites.
Yeah, I've never done a single dad romance before, so that's why I'm like, I don't
really?
I don't know what to get into. I don't think I've ever done a single parent.
Just you wait, Leandra. It's good.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes.
Willa is awesome. Yeah, I do really enjoy Willa's character. I think she's a really, really good best friend character.
Agreed.
That's what I thought. Yeah, she was super supportive in this book, even though we didn't see her very much. I loved how she was like checking in, and yeah.
I have a feeling Cade is going to be super grouchy, growly more because he's hiding from something. Nothing has been mentioned about his son's mother, so I'm wondering if the grouchy is a front.
Yeah, because we do know that she's that they're divorced, so that he's not a widower. That is mentioned in the book, because you never really know with a single parent which way it falls, and it does kind of change how they go forward in relationships depending on which way it ended in the past. Either they're more guarded, or whatever. So it'll be interesting. I hope we see the walls come down with Cade, because
yes,
but I want to see it. So fingers crossed.
Brie, I unfortunately DNF'd this one, but I got a lot of crap for it, so I'm definitely the minority. Yeah, I mean, DNFs are absolutely fair.
Absolutely.
It's not, it's probably not going to be for everyone, but at least if you gave it a good try and it wasn't for you, then that's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine.
And I'm sorry people gave you crap for it too, because it's so unnecessary.
Yeah.
I hate that about the book community. Sometimes it's very rare. Most people in the book community are absolutely lovely, but some people are very diehard fans. So I'm sorry that you did.
Yeah. I mean, I adore the series, but I would never ever give anyone stick for DNF in it. If it's not for you, it isn't for you. So
100%. Everybody can like or love or dislike it. Books are, everyone reads a book differently. So
yeah. Also, a long time no see to both Vanessa and to Brie.
Oh, well, if it was just Vanessa as a friend, that's a little different.
Okay, it was all in good fun. That's
fine.
That's absolutely fine. I'm just like, no.
But yeah, Brie, if you want to let us know why you DNF'd it, that could be interesting. Because I know someone DNF'd it because of the text messages. Because I don't know if we've mentioned that writing style.
Oh, yes.
So that was something that I could have done without. Actually, I didn't really care about the text messages at all, and I think that they made me not like characters more at times. But we've talked about this before, that as a writing style, I'm not a fan of even emails in books or text messages, anything like that. And so I didn't really like them. And I know that someone previously mentioned that they DNF'd because of the text messages. So I don't know if Brie also did that, or if there was another reason why you DNF'd. So understandably why some people might not have been a fan of that.
Yeah, I thought the texts were a fun addition. Yeah, I think it's just everybody's preference, really. I didn't mind it personally.
I actually chuckled at most of them, so obviously,
yeah.
I'm again, everyone reads something differently, which is really interesting.
I've read single mothers, but never single dads. That's interesting.
Very interesting.
I'm not a bull riding girly. I think the cowboy thing is not for me, and I'm more of a literary romance versus romance. Yeah, that's absolutely fair.
Absolutely.
I'd love mixed medium books, so I really like the texts. Yeah, I think it's just everyone's preference, really. So do you guys want to just go into some spoilers now? So we got a lot to talk about. Shall we start off with Milkgate?
Milkgate.
And that's the coin that I'm going to call it, Milkgate.
This was the one time where I read the book and I went, do I get this because I'm Canadian? I really was like, I think I might be the only people who understand this.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I read it, because obviously I'm not from Canada, I didn't get the milk thing. But I think after, obviously, you were talking about it, I was just like, yeah, that must just be a Canadian thing that we don't get over here.
I thought nothing of it.
No, I was like, this is weird, but okay. I was like, is this supposed to be funny? Ha ha ha, milk, how ridiculous. And it's like, no, actually, it makes sense.
Yeah, I didn't think anything of it, but I am Canadian. So, here we are.
Yeah. And it's obviously with the whole sponsorship thing, and it's how the brothers were always after the Milkgate thing, were just making fun of him and constantly jabbing at him all the time with these funny comments about drinking milk and stuff. I just found that really, really funny.
Yeah, that's why that was one of the things that I liked about Bo, because it was Bo, wasn't it, when they went to the bar and Brett was off with other people or whatever, and they just kept sending him milk related cocktails that had milk in them, and he just kept getting them and just being like, what is happening? And I was like, yeah, you go, Bo, go ahead, keep sending.
I think it shows that really good brother relationship, because it's they're not just typical brothers that are just making fun of each other. They're grown adults, but they can still be brothers and still make fun of each other. I really, really liked that dynamic.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, my big spoiler thing that gave me the ick was the way they approached Kip's heart attack. I usually hate when they use things like heart attacks as a motive for action only for the character. Yeah, that's fair.
I understand this, because I also kind of had this moment with the bull trampling. Was that was really just glossed over, and I went, these people were trampled by a bull.
Yeah, and both of these happened very quick, very in line with each other. The heart attack and the bull running over. I was like, no one is safe in these couple chapters.
No,
Like,
I was like, okay, they've been trampled by a bull, and I was like, that's bad. But like,
Yeah,
this
they're
is where we're
trampled by
gonna
bulls and having heart attacks.
we're gonna see Rhett's growth in this moment of like, now that we have this thing with something's happened to Theo, we're gonna see that. And then they were just both out of the hospital and riding bulls again. And I was like, what?
oh my God.
Just needs like a really swift recovery, and was just back on up.
Them
back
some
on the
strong Canadian boys there is what we
I love the scene in the bar with the milk cocktails. Yeah. I mean, I will say, but I think the bull riding sport, because obviously I've never ever watched a bull riding thing. I don't know a lot about it, but I think Elsevier did a really good job at like kind of explaining how that all works as well, for obviously a non-expert like myself that has never watched bull riding before. But I mean, I think it was really, really well done.
I completely agree, because I would say 99% of the people reading this book have never seen a bull riding competition.
Yeah.
So like you have to assume that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they told us enough where I was like, oh, I understand the scoring. Okay, fine. But then it's not like there wasn't anything to, because sometimes, especially like, I guess we can call this like a sports romance, like it doesn't feel that way in the sense that we didn't have too much of the sports. Because sometimes I feel like you go so in depth and like the characters on the field and they're doing things. I'm like, I actually don't need that. Like, I just tell me, did they win? Did they lose? What are the highlights? Like whatever. So I felt like this, the sports element, I was like, this is enough for me to understand. Like it was necessary for me to understand the scoring and the danger involved with like wanting, the worst bowl because you could get a higher score. I was like, okay, I get this. So I think that was a perfect amount of like sportsiness.
Yeah, because I think I find a lot of sports romances that put me off. It's where it goes too in depth, and I'm just like, I'm not a sporty person, to be honest. And it's just like when it's really info dumpy on how it all works and all the scoring system, and if it's like golf or football, for example, I'm just like, I don't really care. So I'm just like, I'm not that interested. So
100%. I think when they go super in depth, the only people who really like those books are the people who enjoy those kind of sports.
Yeah.
Like Carrie Soto kind of comes to mind, which is not technically the same thing as like a sports romance, but like that was very tennis heavy. So unless you like tennis, I don't think you necessarily were like, great book.
Yeah.
And there's also like a level of not knowing, like giving too much information and thinking that like I'm stupid and I don't know how sports work, or like, you know what I mean? Not giving enough and doing high tech. So it's like, I feel like you're playing with fire because you don't really know how much of the lingo to talk about without me being like, I know how a racket works or whatever. Like that's
the milk bar had me laughing so much, and me being intrigued to see more from Jasper. I kind of want to know him more, especially as we saw a tiny crack in the shell that made me go, oh.
Agree. I'm excited for hockey romance. Jasper's up there.
Yeah, I definitely think next to Kay's, Jasper is my favorite of the brothers, I would say.
Quick question.
I can't wait
what
for
book is Jasper's?
Jasper's is Powerless, so the third book after
book.
Harvest.
So I'll have my two ones I'm most excited about back to back. That's exciting.
I feel a lot of sports injuries are trivialized in books like this. It's usually too convenient. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Men usually die of being attacked by bulls. I mean, I'd imagine it's quite a violent sport.
Oh yeah.
She managed to cap the atmosphere of an event like that really well. I actually felt like I was there with Summer during the scenes. Yeah. Jasper is the jockey. Yes. Yeah, the hockey romance. Yay, hockey.
Jockey romance, very different thing. But also horse themed. So, could have been.
Yeah.
That's really a missed opportunity, actually.
I've wrote down about the relationships in Summer's family. I think we've already kind of touched on that, but the relationship with her sister Winter and her dad. I know, obviously, Landra, that you didn't like Summer's dad at all.
I did not. But you know what I will say is I think that Summer's kind of delusional worship of him, I will say, is realistic. Like her being like, he's such a good dad, blah, blah. It's like, well, you've seen that. Like, you've been very fortunate that he's done that to you, but like, you also understand that he, like, to tell everyone, he committed infidelity with like the nanny, and then Summer was born. The nanny gave up all parental rights, went off, returned to her country because she was like a nanny for, or like an au pair kind of situation. And then he stayed with his wife, who he cheated on, with the daughter who was already born at the time, and then with Summer. It's like, of course the family's going to have some tension. And what I will say is, I think it's wrong that the stepmother demonized Summer, because it isn't Summer's fault. But I will say Summer is acting like her father, like, kind of didn't, like, I feel like she's not acting as though he did like that bad of a thing. Like, I know that it came to her, like, her fruition of her, like, she existed from it, but I was like, he sucks. Like, he's not a good person, and he doesn't really seem that, like, and I guess I might have missed this, but I felt like there could have been more explanation for why Kip and his wife even stayed together. Like,
I assumed it was money.
Yeah, like, that's just it? They both just,
I assumed that, yeah.
We're just both like rich and decided to stay rich together.
I think he's rich, and I think she's not, without her husband, who is a manager of rich people.
Isn't she like a head, like, isn't she the head of the hospital or something?
Oh yeah, right. So yeah, I just assumed it was money.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was kind of glossed over a little bit. Like, we didn't really get any backstory as to what actually happens as well.
I more saw the whole family dynamic as a way to understand why Summer would make some of the choices with men that she's made. Because, you know, we know this thing with her doctor, and we all know that people who prey on young women or young girls look for people that will fall into that, and are in situations where they are, you know, maybe more vulnerable to something like that. And I felt like her familial situation made that, you know, made her realize, you know, more open to being in a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
Where a more healthy familiar relationship maybe would not have led her to necessarily look for those loving relationships in places that were not ideal. I don't know if I'm explaining myself very well, but
yeah, I totally get that. And I think kind of leading on from that, the whole third act breakup as well, when Rhett Summer told Rhett in confidence, obviously the relationship that she had at a younger age, and then he just blurts it out. I don't know how you felt about that. Did he do it in the right way, or
no?
He did not.
No, he didn't.
Like, I'm sorry, he's 32. Like, a 32-year-old man would do that? Like, you're, boy, grow up. Like, what? Read the room.
Summer should never forgiven Rhett. Yes.
I really liked that she even pointed out in the book, Summer, that was her story to tell.
Yeah,
and it is her story to
that in confidence. Yeah.
And not to protect the man that did it to her. That's not why she's keeping it. It's that it's her story, and it's her right to let her, whoever, and to share it when she feels comfortable, in whatever situation she feels comfortable, so that she has power over her situation. And he took that from her, and
and she went on to say, like, not just me, but other people are involved. Like, Winter learned that her husband, like, because basically, another spoiler, Rob, I don't think we mentioned this, Rob ended up was not only Summer's doctor, but he preyed on her, waiting until she was 18, and then pretty much used her, had a sexual relationship with her. And then once he met Winter, because Winter started working at the same hospital, her older sister, he ended up eventually having a relationship with her and getting married to her. So all of this was happening. And in this room, Rhett just like blurts out everything. And it's just like, how like, that's not fair to Winter. It's not fair to Summer. As Summer mentioned, her dad was like in the other room. I hate him, but still, you know, like, just be respectful. Like, know that you're in this public place, man. Like, yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
And actually, to speak on that too, sorry, but like, that's one of the reasons why I was a bit concerned with her relationship to a certain point with Rhett, because I saw some parallels. Like, she's got a weird relationship with her dad that she's kind of dependent on. Now she has Rob, another person that there's like a power dynamic that's extremely imbalanced that she's been used with. And with Rhett, the fact that she had a crush on Rhett as a fan when she was like a teen and young. And now there's also a power dynamic where her job rests on him actually performing and doing the right thing. I was like, all the men in her life have a power dynamic where they're like, you know, and that's what I was kind of struggling with Summer. I'm like, Summer, maybe you should actually step away from all these men and like find a more balanced power dynamic for you, because I don't know.
Yeah, I think definitely Summer's just had like a lot of toxic men in her life as well.
Absolutely.
This obviously has a big impact on her, I would say.
I was just about to say I was like, some therapy would have been great. And then the comics
therapy,
I was like, some family therapy,
yeah,
some
she needs
individual
therapy, not a man.
Everyone could use some of that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Rob deserved to be called out for sure. But not like that. And Rhett took Summer's power away in that situation. 100%. It wasn't his information to tell, it was Summer's information to tell if she wanted to tell it, but it wasn't Rhett to just blurt it out like that. So yeah. I think personally, I think she should have just left him right there and then, to be honest.
Yeah. It was one of those ones where I want my third act breakup to be believable. Yeah. So it was, because I think she should have been like, bye, sir.
Yeah, just bye.
But it can't be so far that like I don't think it's redeemable. And I think we're right on the cusp of that potentially.
Yeah. Summer should have been with Willa. There, I said it. Yeah, I mean, I think Willa is definitely like one of the best friend characters that I've read in a while.
Oh, I hadn't even considered that, but like if that would have been where we went, I would have been okay with that.
That would have been a plot twist. Like, imagine the first person you've opened up your heart to, and they do that. Nice. Yeah.
I mean, the correct way would have been for him to support her and help her build up her confidence so that she can tell her own story, not to take that from her. If that makes sense. And be there as a support system for her, not as a bull running through the hospital for her, pun intended.
I hate how many times he said "my girl." Yeah,
and there was a mention where they were talking, and then she kind of clapped back, being like, you know, you got to stop being so possessive. And he's like, I'm not possessive, I'm protective. And I'm like, no, you are possessive, and to an extent, depending on the person, they can be into it. But like, to correct her in saying that, it's like, no, you are possessive. And then there was the moment where when she was like, you know what, you need to go, I need space, blah blah. And then like he's still texting her and doing, I'm like, back off, my girl. Like, give her space, let her process these things. Like, so many things are happening with you. And I felt like it was like this thing where I'm like, again, this kind of example of almost possession. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But I think I will say I did kind of like the connection that Rhett and Summer has about their mums, because obviously Rhett lost his mum because she died in childbirth, giving birth to Violet, his sister. And then obviously the relationship that Summer has with her mum, who her mum's absent, that she hasn't had a mum for most of her like life. But I did kind of like that connection where they did connect on that.
And there's this another connection I did like, was that both of them have a history of not feeling like they're enough for the other person. Like whether it's, you know, a long-term relationship or just like a romantic fling, that they've never really had emotional connections with others, mainly because they think that others haven't felt like they were lacking in some way for different reasons. But it did feel as though, like, especially like sexual relationships, they've always felt as though they were a commodity or used as an object rather than being appreciated as a person. So there were some really nice vulnerable moments like when that was going on.
Yeah, definitely. Did anyone notice that Winter told Summer she was pregnant, but then nothing was mentioned about it in the epilogue? Because they say Winter isn't talking to her, but no mention of the baby.
Yeah, I didn't think anything of that because I knew Winter had a book. So I assumed we were going to explore more of Winter's story and probably Winter and Summer's relationship at that time. So we were kind of leaving that open, because I'm assuming whoever she is romantically involved with, because I'm assuming some of these relationships happen at technically timeline-y, very close together, but the epilogues were way in advance, like in the future. So some of these books would have happened in the timeline by the time that epilogue, so you would have spoiled what was coming in a book. If that was my understanding, but I could be off as I have not read those books.
I'm interested to see the other brothers' content with dealing with the loss of their mum. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair. I just thought I just would have thought something may have been mentioned about it. Yeah.
Yeah. It might be interesting also with the mom thing and what Brooklyn mentioned and also you, Claire, was to see how that kind of plays into Cade and what he's dealing with Luke, because Luke's mother maybe isn't in the picture. And he kind of understands what it's like not to
have a mother figure around. Yeah.
So is that affecting, the familial relationship with him and Luke in the second book? So who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
Or because he remembered, like, he obviously, compared to Rhett, he has memories of his mom. And so he also probably he's like, I had such a great mom and she was taken away from me, for just, in general, because she died. Versus like Luke having like whatever his relationship with their mother is, it's like different, and him being like, oh, I wish Luke had what I had, but also, so interesting.
Yeah, definitely interesting.
I don't know if Luke's mother's in the book. Like, it's not really mentioned in the first book if she's around or not. We don't see her. So I guess I who knows? We'll find out.
There's like, I won't tell you anything.
I know, but I won't say anything. Obviously, no spoilers, obviously. Did you guys enjoy the one bed trope aspect? Have you read a romance like that where it's like a one bed trope?
I must have. I feel like have I read romance?
I've not
read a one cave trope a lot, so I say yes.
A what?
One cave, baby.
Cave?
This is a big thing in Ice Planet, everyone. If you don't know, there's one cave, and these two people go off and they are shacked up in a cave.
You get a cave. You get it. Like, we all get caves. Like, seriously. Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. Always a sucker for a one bed trope. At least it's not a one cave trope.
But Holmes very similar, trope moves it forward. What am I trying to say?
Oh my god.
I did think their one bed was really cute though, because like it's one of those situations where you're kind of wondering like, oh, because it wasn't really a saucy, spicy scene. But it was like more of like a sweet, like the idea of comfort of them both like not really having a relationship or their relationship with someone in a bed together has always been physical and not really been an emotional connection. But their first time in a bed together was like an emotional comfort connection. They were like holding hands and they fell asleep holding hands.
And he like warmed their feet. Yeah, it was cute.
Yeah, it was cute. Yeah.
But probably most of you like, I still hate Rhett though.
I don't hate him, but I'm like, he needs to freaking learn. Like, good boy.
One bed trope, forced proximity is one of my fave tropes, so I've read a few of them. This one was okay, just a little cliche as to how it happens. Yeah, that's fair.
Because like it was like an AC thing, wasn't it? Or no heat, I think. Yeah.
Oh no, this hotel is full and the only room with broken heating just happens to be my room.
Well, and I don't know what time of year this was taken in, but like I just don't understand why the room would be so cold. Like as far as I know, bull riding happens in the summer. So
but you know what's so funny?
With no heat would not be needing to be like in a parka, but maybe it was set closer to winter and I just didn't put that together. So which is possible. Yeah. I will be the first to that it might be. But I feel like bull riding is a summer activity.
That confused me because there was a mention though, because like when the last time Jasper, like they had like that little quick dinner with Jasper before, all hell broke loose. And like Jasper was like, oh yeah, I don't get to go to his events because our seasons align. And I'm like, your seasons align? You're a hockey player. You're in winter?
Well, that's a good point. So it must have been winter.
Yeah. So, but that did make me pause because I was like, wait a second. Bull riding's happening this is winter? Like I did have to take a second to be like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Leandra's right. I forgot about that comment. So it must have been winter. And clearly you would think bull riding is a summer sport, but is a winter sport. Who'd have thought it?
I guess they're bored in the winter. Let's go into I don't know.
I mean, that's when you get on the bulls. The bulls are more mad because they're cold. Like, fair.
Yeah, they're like, these crazy humans. Yeah. Like, what are you doing out here in the winter?
It's a little bit chilly. Yes, Rhett's dad, Harvey. I just love him so much.
Yeah, he was sweet.
He's a sweetheart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Claire, you were mentioning how you wanted a Harvey book.
Yes, yeah, because obviously Harvey lost his wife, obviously because she died in childbirth. So like I would love if Elsa ever wrote a Harvey book where we got a lot more of that, and it's like how he was feeling about it, and maybe a relationship for him. Maybe.
Do you think that's a possibility in the new series?
I mean, potentially.
I guess it is a single dad series, isn't it? He's technically
he is technically a single dad.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be very fun if it was like a callback for all of the like Chestnut.
Yes.
Well, and we follow the sister in the first series, right? That's not in this, so it wouldn't be that odd to have one of the family members outside of this series.
Yeah, definitely. I love how he kind of let the boys get on with their lives, but he could snap them into shape when he needed to. Yeah, definitely. I think he's like that typical dad where he's like he's firm but fair in a way.
This is the Calgary Stampede, I think. It probably auto-corrected. So we may need to do some research into when bull riding happens because it seems to be some diggity.
Gotta love plot armor seasons. Oh god. Let me see, where did I the steamy scenes themselves, did you guys enjoy them, or did you find them anything cringy or anything? I personally didn't.
I'm trying to think. The one that I thought was weird was when they were like, when this isn't even like really steamy, when they were just getting it on in the hospital like parking lot and like just like tonguing each other, like they were in each other's selves. I don't know, they were fusing together, and I was like, what are we doing in this public parking lot? People are trying to get healthy. Like I get you're trying, like what is happening? And so that I was like, this is too much. But when they were like in their like bedroom separate and everything, like I was like, sure, go off, have fun. Like that was really cute. Yeah.
I was very mid about it. Like it was just fine.
Yeah.
It was fine. And I think that might be that because I wasn't invested in Rhett, it's hard to be invested in that part of their relationship if I'm just like, yeah, he's fine.
Yeah.
Right. Like you kind of have to be invested in both of them to kind of be really like, this is great. So I think that might have been my problem, not so much in and of itself, the actual like writing of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I will say that there is one thing that I was like, I'm glad that Rhett was doing this, but I was like, I don't think he'd be the kind of guy to actually do it. When he was pleasuring her and she's like, I've never experienced this before. And he was like, oh, let me. And he was like having the greatest time. He was always making sure. And I was like, you would not be the type to. I was like, but I was like, you know what, Summer? I'm so happy for you. Or the phone call scene. Like the phone call scene, I was like, "Oh my god, that was
when she was on the phone to Rob and Rhett went down on her." I was like, "Power play, yes."
I was like, "Oh my god, yeah, that was fun."
Yeah, but the rest of the smutty scenes just felt like sex for sex sake, and now, as I said before, food play is an instant.
That's what I feel about like the chaps. Like I don't know what chaps are, and I never looked them up.
Chaps are leather.
I was like, what is going on? Tell me.
Chaps are leather coverings that go over jeans to like protect your like legs from riding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Does that make sense? So you would wear them, but they only go on the outside. So the inside, it's like a belt and then like outside your legs. So the whole inside would have, if you didn't wear jeans.
Okay, because I was so confused.
You would just have like your outer legs covered and the inside in a belt. So there would be nothing covering parts he needed to get to.
Well, I was gonna say because he seemed to have no problem when he was like, put these chaps on and we're gonna have fun. And I was like, what is going on?
I feel like that makes sense with a cowboy romance to have some
you know what, props. Yeah, like you got to use some cowboy props. It makes sense. The hat was a prop.
Yeah, I got a cowboy hat. Yeah. Yeah, leather pants with tassels cowboys wear, which made me laugh to picture. Yeah. I was just picturing assless straps. It's so not true.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's about right.
Pretty much.
Oh god.
We're getting into it.
Yeah, we're getting really into it now. Oh god. Let me see on my notes. The actual ending. Did you guys? What did you think of the ending?
I know people really like this part of the book, but it really bothered me.
Oh really?
Because I hated that he wrote mine on her. I hated it.
Well, because he wrote that happened actually earlier, didn't he?
I
He
know,
wrote
it was
mine,
twice.
and then
Yeah.
So okay, so I didn't like that he kept writing on her body,
No.
and he wrote like "Will you marry me" or whatever,
Yep.
and I was like, that's I don't know, that was a bit much for me.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, what was I even gonna say? Well, it just goes hand in hand. I don't like his obsession with her mouth. Like again, like he just and it's like okay, like
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also didn't like that they built their house where they were like shagging in the yard. I'm like, that's an odd place to decide to like. That's not romantic. That's a choice.
That's just wrong.
I don't know if they're gonna have kids, but it's gonna be weird when your kids are playing. Be like, oh look, they're playing. Where
we did it.
Yeah, good memories. It's like what?
But that was just a me thing, like that. You know, if you liked it, I'm so glad you liked it. I didn't. It wasn't my cup of tea.
I mean,
Or
I
her
thought
becoming
it
a
was
physical
fine. I
trainer.
didn't have any issue with it, but I think listening to you guys chatting about it, I'm kind of like, yeah, that's not really that.
Claire didn't
You're
realize
like,
this was such a
oh.
controversial question.
Yeah, we're like let's unpack this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also didn't like that it was just like so easy how she just became a physical trainer and opened up a gym and did all this stuff. And I was like, you've mentioned physical training twice. And she's like, let me change my career and all these things. And I'm like, okay, why not? Like, you go lift weights, I guess. Like,
And I love that you loved it. Like, I love that for you. And that's and this is why we all take things differently. But for me, I would not want, I guess it's maybe me. I would not want someone to write on me. That's just a mess that I have to clean up. Like, I have to wash that off. It's on my back. How do you wash that off? Like,
I love that they were like experts about constellations and binary stars. And I'm like, how do you both know? Like she like goes off on this monologue explaining what binary stars are. And I'm like, what? Like you went to law school and you like work for an entertainment industry. You're also an astronomer. Like what? Like I and then like the ending when he's like, we are binary stars, blah blah blah. And I was like, oh my god, okay, Rhett. Now you're into astronomy too. It's fine.
God.
But I also think the mine part for me was the example how we were saying like the possessiveness. Like it kind of just like it fell into like those other elements that I think for me aren't like stuff I really like in romance too much. I actually, what did you guys think about the his nickname for her? Like, how did you feel about that?
Princess?
Yeah.
Princess.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. I felt like it was a bit overused.
That's my thing. I think it might.
But I don't mind it as a like in other books I've seen it. Doesn't bother me. That's fine. Go ahead. I didn't bother me in that way. It just felt like you mean I'm gonna say something. I almost said it, and then I went, "Oh, that's gonna come out weird," but we're gonna say it anyway.
Yeah.
Sometimes your bedroom nicknames are not your outside of the bedroom nickname. So I think it being the nickname in both places made it too much. And there you go. That was what. And then I was like, okay, sure, I'll say that on the internet. It's fine.
Yeah, it's been said, but also I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I didn't mind it. I didn't find it cringy. But I will say when we get to Bo's book, there is a nickname in there that is used, and that just gives me the cringe. Also, I won't say what it is, but
yeah, we'll find out. Okay, we'll find out.
like it in that book. So yeah, when he said, I'm not possessive, I'm protective, I actually scoffed and wanted to punch him.
Be like, we need to buy this boy a dictionary.
Yeah.
Like, what? Tell me, what does possessive mean and what does protective mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. I'm glad. Because I'm like, yeah, this is the best way to say this. I'm like, here we go.
Oh, God. I don't think I've got any other notes. So just kind of summing up your overall thoughts. Overall, I had a really good time with this. I just love this world, these characters, and to me, it's not the greatest romance ever written. I will say that. But overall, I just love the vibes, and it's a quick, fast read, and it's a good time, and I loved it. And I just think I think it's a great first time if you wanted to try cowboy romance, if you're interested in it. I think it's a really good starting point because it's not too complicated. It's just really easy reading to me personally. So I think overall that's why I gave it a 5 stars and I absolutely loved it. So like you guys find kind of overall final thoughts?
I agree with you. The writing style is so easy that if you're wanting to dip into like this genre of romance, this is a really easy one to dip into because she does make it digestible in the different cowboy terms and things without overwhelming you. The writing style is really, really simple. This is my first cowboy romance. So like I can't really put it against others to be like, you know, in that regard. But I agree with you in that for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I agree with everything else. The fact that it's an easy read, that even when I was like kind of picking at things, being like, oh, it's silly, like there were elements I still like that I was invested to keep going. And I like this as an introduction because there are a lot of side characters that I'm intrigued by. Like I'm excited to see Beau's book. I'm excited to see Cade's book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. I know this might be like an opinion that is in the minority, but I kind of am looking forward to getting more of Winter because I feel like we barely saw her. She spoke like 6 or 7 times. And like I said, so I really want to see more of her to understand her character. Willa, as we've mentioned. So this has provided a nice big cast of characters where there's a lot of them that I'm like, I wouldn't mind seeing a book about you, you know? So that's really nice to see. Mm-hmm.
And it is hard with the first book in the series because you are not just focusing on the one relationship. You do have to lay out like some reason for us to continue with these other characters. So you need to have little bits of everybody where the other books don't necessarily have to do that because if that makes sense. They don't even have to really do the setting as much in the other books because you've now seen the farm, in the first book. So there's a lot more that needs to happen in the first book than will need to happen in the subsequent books, which makes it harder to make the first one like stand out, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can see in the comments that it was actually a lot of people's first cowboy romance, which is great. I really want more of Winter, especially after her life has literally just imploded in spectacular fashion at her workplace. She's going to need a focus.
One thing I did like about that, though, was that Winter believed her sister the whole time. She never was like, oh, you must be lying. Like, my husband wouldn't do that. Like, she 100% believed her sister immediately. And I appreciated that in this book. We didn't really talk about it because I just thought of it now. But
yes.
I know we're wrapping up, but I agree. Like Winter, I felt like was maybe misunderstood. And there were like certain elements that I was kind of like, I feel like we're judging her really hard and we barely get her. And like if it was in a different context, we were talking about like the joking brothers, like when because Winter divulges to Rhett that, Summer had a crush on him. I'm like, if that was like a different tone or whatever, that would be joking. You know what I mean? And immediately they were like defensive, being like, how dare she see such a cold-hearted bitch? And I was like, I mean, arguably, if you had a slightly different skewed, like, lens, she would be making fun of her little sister, like Rhett's brothers have done, but we decided to like make her like the villain. So that was like, I'm like, there's more to Winter. Like, I don't think that she was depicted fairly in this book, like through Summer's eyes or like through Rhett's. But anyways.
Yeah, you're right. Because if that comment would have came from Willa, you would have taken it as like a snappy best friend joking around.
Yeah, like, like don't tell him, like ha ha ha, like and it's like, oh, like she hates me, and I'm like, calm down. Like,
but
what?
I will say, obviously without spoilers, but Winter, as you go through the series, she does soften a lot, and it's like that exterior does come down a lot, and I think you definitely do get to see a lot more of her when you get to like her book, like
Yeah, and we have to remember we're seeing her through the perspectives of Rhett, who doesn't know her, and Summer, who has a lot of baggage
100%.
around the situation. So everything you're seeing is from their perspective, so it's skewed by what they see it as. So
totally. I mean, that's why we see Kip being the greatest guy. It's like it's because Summer. Yeah, we got his. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I will say that Elsie Silver doesn't fall for the typical cliches. Yeah, I would agree with that. There are a few, she did take some things in some ways I didn't expect. So yeah, I'm glad that she didn't do that route. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I need to go to bed. It's been up since 5 a.m., but I'm taking Heartless with me. Well, thank you, Christopher. Good night.
Good night.
Yeah, so I think if nobody else has got anything else to add, we can just wrap up the live show. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for our first live show for Chestnut Springs Along. And I can't believe we actually had people turning up, which is crazy. And we, as we've mentioned several times, we will be moving on to Heartless for May. And I'm so excited to reread that book. So excited. Yeah, Leandra's got
way
it.
over there.
Mine's is over there. I can't be bothered to go and get it. So Leandra can hold it up for us. And the live show for that will be towards the start of June, I think. I can't remember the exact date, but it will be at the start of June. And I will be hosting some Heartless reading sprints next week, potentially. So stay tuned for that if you're interested in reading Heartless with us. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining myself, Leandra, and Brittany. And hopefully we'll see you at the next live show very soon. Bye, everyone.